Thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Robin, for just kind of brainstorming with me. Um, we brainstormed a few topics, but one of the things that we agreed that a lot of small businesses run into is kind of recruiting and retaining top tier talent. There's a lot of benefits out there at maybe corporations or really large companies that a lot of small business owners maybe don't feel like they can compete with, or maybe they just don't feel that they have tools available to them. So really just kind of took that and ran with it. And there's some creative ideas in here, maybe just some things that are more common that you may not have realized are available to small business owners. So Robin, of course, gave me some really good feedback. I did get some good feedback from some recruiter friends that I have in kind of all different types of industries. So yeah, so excited to share that with you guys. Um, let's see if this will go to the next slide. There we go. Um, a little about me. So one thing that's not on this slide, something that really just kind of helped shape me in the way that I look at things and the way that I really look to help people. When I was 6 years old, I was just my mom and I, the way it had always been, and we wanted to have a bigger family. So she started fostering, and we had a little boy who came to live with us, who was 2 years old, and um, maybe a month or so later, his little sister was born. She was in rough shape when she was born. She's 2 pounds 2 ounces. She was a crack baby. She was not able to stay with her parents, so she came to live with us as well. Um, and these two lived with us for 2 years. So from 6 to 8 for me, so that's a quarter of my life at that point. They lived with us. They were my little brother and my little sister. And one day I went to school. My mom went to court to for custody of the children. And their family was able to bring them back, which is obviously great for them to be with their family. But I came home and I never got to see them again. So that was really tough for me and my mom, as you can imagine. But one thing that I'm thankful that she did was she didn't give up helping kids who are in that situation. So long story short, we ended up moving across country, but she continued to foster, and we had probably dozens of kids. Like I would come home from school, and little Bobby would be there. His parents had been in a really bad fight, and he's staying with us for a few weeks. There were kids who were abused, kids whose parents were abusing each other, just all kinds of walks of life, as you can imagine. And a few things that taught me from a really early age. One, it really taught me empathy and really just understanding everyone is going through something, and no matter what that may be, that's all relevant to them, right? Whether something that may seem big to me may be really small to someone else, and vice versa. It also made me realize that a bad day for myself may be paradise for someone else. And having that mindset really just drove me to be grateful and to really focus on lifting other people up and helping to get them to the next level, and kind of past whatever may have been in their past. Um, so a little bit about me. Obviously, pictured here is my family. I was able to put some cheesy little State Farm circles around these. So we have my son and daughter, Landon and Lily, who are 3 and 1. My beautiful wife, Madeline, and then our pups, Penny and Pepper. So jumping into the benefits here. So some of the biggest themes of benefits that people are looking for um, are more time, more money, and better health. And so these are three things that, from a benefit perspective, small business owners have somewhat control over, right? Like there are impacts that can be made as a small business owner in these areas. There are benefits that can be offered. We're going to jump through here. So from a time perspective, on average, people are, full-time person is spending 40 hours a week in a job, right? So you look at waking hours, that's a good half of the time that they're awake. They are providing value to a small business owner's company. Um, so having, clear expectations on what needs to be accomplished is obviously a huge part of that. And with those clear expectations, really these flexible work arrangements and work-life balance initiatives, I would say these two kind of go hand in hand, but flexible work arrangements, really just things like If someone has a child that's in school and they want to be able to pick up their kid from school on certain days or days of the week, obviously it's really helpful for them to know that, okay, on these days I can be done at work at 2:30 or 3 o'clock to go pick the kids up. Things like, someone has a sick parent that they're caring for and they just need some flexible work arrangements. And that kind of goes back to, as long as they have clear expectations around what they need to accomplish, it's more manageable to make that work. Um, and then of course work-life balance, really just having some options in where someone's working, and when. Things like working from home, obviously that became huge during 2020 and 2021. We started to see areas where things could be done from home. And at the same time, that opened up a gap where a lot of people are becoming really more appreciative of having someone in person that they can talk to and that they can go to their office. So having a setup where there's in-person availability there, but also your team gets to have some flexibility in how they accomplish their tasks and production can go a really long way. Then also with time, volunteering and community engagement. I've worked with organizations that every year they did, on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, they did just a day of service, and no one was working, but everyone would get together and work on a common um, charity or some kind of initiative, to help boost up the community and just really kind of build that teamwork. Um, that's one example, right? Just that kind of annual option. But that can be anything. That can be, like Robin mentioned, volunteering for things like fiesta days and chamber events, going to just other charities or starting your own kind of initiative. There's so many options that are with that. But I would say that the biggest thing with that is being engaged as a leader in those things and not just like, hey, someone needs to work this thing. Really having it be a team environment can go a really long way, and just show value for the time that the team is spending. And then looking at finances, so there was a study done by PwC. It was an employee financial wellness survey. They found that 60% of full-time employees are stressed about their finances, and over half of them report negative impacts on sleep, mental health, self-esteem, physical health, and their relationships at home. So as a small business owner, it can be burdensome. Like, okay, I'm already paying this person their wages or salary, whatever it may be. It can be easy to disconnect and be like, oh, well, that person's at home financial things are not um, relevant to me. But obviously, if that's on someone's heart and that's on someone's mind throughout the day, that's distracting. That's gonna, it's taking away from their focus. Um, and all of those things I listed off that are impacted: sleep, mental health, self-esteem, physical health, relationships at home. Those are obviously very important, to having a thriving team. Some of the ways that a small business owner can kind of step in and take some of this off their plate to an extent. One is having a retirement account. So I know it's with small business owners, it's very common to think, oh, our company's not big enough to have a 401k, or not big enough to have a profit sharing plan, or whatever it may be, of some kind of retirement planning product. But there are literally things called solo 401ks, which are for an individual, who just operates their business on their own. So as you add team members, there are 401k options for things like that. There are profit sharing plans that can be done kind of separate from what the employee contributes, but there are options there. And I think that's something that a lot of people just don't realize, is that that is an option. Even if you're just a one man shop, one woman shop, that's still a possibility there. Also, for Illinois, and I believe there's a couple other states who do this as well. Illinois, in the past couple of years, required that companies that have 5 or more employees and that have been in business for 2 or more years are required to have a retirement account. So there's a plan that the state sponsors. There's obviously tons of financial professionals in the chamber alone that can help with things like that. But key point there: no small business too small to offer a retirement plan. Um, Another area, financial wellness. So there are some really good apps, some really good coaching programs and things that can help people with budgeting. And when you think about, just day to day, if someone's really worried about their finances, budgeting is probably a key area that needs to be, solidified and built up. And there are resources that are out there. There's one of them that's out there is Dave Ramsey has a solution. I believe it's called Smart Dollar. He has like an app that offers budgeting and some kind of like financial coaching in there. There's also, I know Jen Carpenter at the chamber. She works with Legal Shield, and so there's some legal kind of financial protection type benefits that are out there. So there's a lot of stuff that can go into kind of building up that financial wellness without even necessarily giving a person more money, just kind of giving them resources to be able to better utilize it and make it go further. And then the last one here on the finance aspect is life insurance. So the really big companies, really big corporations, they often have some type of group life insurance that's, I mean, it's absolutely dirt cheap, especially in, I used to be in the tech industry, so it's, you got a lot of people working from home, a lot of people very safe. Like it's kind of hard for anything, from their work perspective, at least they're very unlikely to be seriously injured just from, um, their day-to-day work. But there are options as few as like 5 people, as 5 employees, you can still do a group life policy. And I've actually seen people and companies who will just take out life insurance policies on their, maybe they have 1 or 2 employees, and they just have their business listed as the owner on the policy, and then that gives their employee coverage, and it's also a benefit in there. And of course, there's many different ways to do these things. There's tax write-offs available in certain things. I'm not a tax expert, but there are plenty of great options in this world that can kind of open up some more doors as far as things that can be offered there. Um, and probably one of the most dreaded questions or comments that small business owners get is, "Oh, you don't offer health insurance." I mean, I know personally, like in our agency alone, we've had a few people who accepted jobs, and then they're like, "Oh, actually, you don't offer full traditional health insurance. I can't take the job." Um, and there are alternatives that are available. That health insurance can be very, very expensive. Some of the things that exist kind of in this first bucket here, there are cost sharing programs out there that kind of function similar to insurance. They're more cost effective, but they do provide a huge benefit to people who are covered by them. And there are also like supplemental plans. Some of you may have heard of like the Aflac plans that are out there that kind of like help with hospital admissions and that kind of thing. Um, there's things like that. There are disability policies that can be taken out as a group or individually, for a company to take out an employee. Um, Lots of different options in there that can really help out both the small business owner and their employees as well. Another area, health and wellness coaching. So there are more and more kind of similar to that financial wellness bucket. The wellness industry and coaching industry is really exploding. So there's more and more apps, more and more coaching videos, and just people who are available to do one-on-one or group coaching. They can really help to boost people's health. Really just bringing them to a place of feeling good. That obviously someone who doesn't feel good every day is going to have a hard time doing really well at their job because they don't feel good. And being able to feel better, being able to feel healthy and mobile, all those kinds of things really add up. And having a benefit like this available, maybe that may be something that's more attractive to existing team members as far as like if they want to utilize that, but that's something that is a really good option out there as well. And then also having a health focused office, just having whether it's having like fresh fruit in the break room, or just kind of having maybe walking meetings every once in a while where, you have like a one-on-one, you just kind of go for a walk and kind of get moving and not stuck at a desk all day every day. I know not everyone on this call is at a desk type job, but um, in this era of technology, it's so easy to get stuck at a computer all day. Just kind of having something that's designed to step away, making sure you're being properly nourished, all that kind of stuff can really go a long way. So those are kind of the three main buckets: the time, money, and health. But there are a few other things here, really around peace of mind, that really stood out to me from the recruiters that I talked to. One of the biggest things, especially right now, is around job security, and just like people want to know that they can stop searching for a job when they're taking a job. They want to know they can go all in, and that this is where they're going to be, and that they're going to be able to contribute there. Part of that, of course, is having clear and concise expectations. I know it's super common to have a small business and just be go, go, go all the time, doing everything, trying to cover all the bases, and then you bring someone on, it's like, oh man, I gotta train them, I gotta teach them how to do this, and it can be easy to kind of just step back and try to take that on ourselves. Um, but it's so helpful to have those clear and concise expectations, because with those, that gives the team member opportunities to grow and like really hit those goals, and it makes it easier to say, I know they're going to be working on X, Y, and Z. I trust they're going to work on this. We can work on this together as far as updates and that kind of thing. And so it creates a little bit more of a peace of mind for the employee or prospective employee, as well as the employer. And then finally, just having an encouraging and empowering culture that really just drives, um, maybe just whether it's having goals, whether it's having performance-based incentives or bonuses, that kind of stuff can really go a long way in helping people to know that they're on track and that they're hitting their goals, and that even going into a position that they feel comfortable and confident that they're going to be able to achieve those things. And finally here, there's obviously ways that I can help. I can't help with everything on these slides, but there's quite a few things. So just kind of summarizing those, tailored benefit consultations I can help with. I'm just kind of sitting down and figuring out what makes sense for your business. Obviously, cost effective options are important, and then just personalized support. I mean, we're have a picture of our office down here below. We're right in downtown McHenry. Um, Contact info is on here as well if anyone has questions or just maybe wants to understand more about what some of these things are. Um, Happy to help out and provide value wherever I can.